Don't waste hours testing the swamp yourself. We already did it. This week's trials are full of hidden mechanics. Half of the containers that count for the swamp trial aren't even inside of the swamp. Some buildings count, some only do partially. Weapons cases count, supply drops don't. And if you don't know these mechanics, you'll waste hours looting the wrong location. So in this guide, I rank every trial from the best to the worst, show you the fastest strategies and routes, and tell you which ones are actually worth your time if you're trying to push for Hotshot or Cantina Legend. Before we get started though, here is how I personally would prioritize the trials this week. Number 1 is open containers in the swamp. On the second place is damage arc using the Rascal. Number 3 is destroy Snitches with Snitches. Number 4 is search lockers. And finally, damage arc using a single deadline. If you are aiming for Cantina Legend, you'll eventually want to complete all of them, but this order will give you your biggest return for your time. That being said, let's start with by far the most confusing trial this week. Everyone thinks this is just about opening containers inside the swamp. It isn't. During our testing, we found multiple locations that count even though they aren't actually inside the swamp. Some buildings even only count partially, others don't count at all. Raider caches count, weapon caches count, lying probes count, however the standing ones don't. Rocketeer husks count, wasp husks count, but Baron husks don't. Supply drops also don't count. So if you try to figure this out yourself, you'll probably waste hours. That's why we've mapped every confirmed location and uploaded everything to the Discord. The link is down in the description below. For the highest score, I recommend running Damn Battlegrounds during Electromagnetic Storm because you have the crashed probes that count towards this trial. Right now, the highest scores are already around 25,000 points, so this will probably end up being one of the most important trials this week. So let's take a look at the map real quick. Okay, so the general swamp area contains this. This power plant building here counts as well. A part inside the water treatment control counts as well. A part of the controlled access area counts towards this trial. We have a breachable car up here that counts towards this trial. Everything around Benwell, the sunroof and the hatch counts. And even like half of the southwest building of the Pale apartments. The border cuts right through the building itself. So this is the general area where you want to loot the containers. As I said, a more detailed map of this is going to be in the Discord. Next up is probably the most frustrating trial of this week though, the Rascal. The weapon itself has terrible range and reloads extremely slowly. The good news is it uses the Hawkcracker ammo, does quite decent damage, and every single point of damage counts. So instead farming small enemies, go after the big arc enemies you can find. Matriarchs, bastions, bombardiers, or shredders. Bigger health pool means more points. Personally, I would recommend Damn Electromagnetic Storm, Spaceport at night, or the matriarch farming on really any map. If you don't own a Rascal yet, the Nomad vendor is selling both the Rascal and the Deadline Blueprint this week, making the trials a lot easier to prepare for. Current top scores for the Rascal one are already around 20,000 points. Trial number 3 is Damage Snitches with Stitches. This trial probably has one of the higher theoretical ceilings, but it's also one of the hardest to execute. In theory, you could reach around 22,000 points. Problem is, you would need to kill around 55 Snitches for that. That's a lot. The best maps are going to be Buried City during the Bird City event, if you can get the 6 Snitch spawns, or Blue Gate during the Locked Gate event just for the extra 10 minutes you have. There are 2 more or less reliable ways to complete this. Method 1 is damage the Snitch with either a Renegade or an Osprey and then finish it with the Stitcher. Or method 2, throw a Seeker grenade, but make sure it hits the side of the Snitch instead of directly from above, otherwise it will one-shot it, and then finish it with the Stitcher. Also remember, since everyone is farming this trial, Snitches may feel surprisingly rare this week, and that's why I'm giving you 2 options for that. So let's take a look at the map. Okay, so first of all, for Buried City, I would personally position myself either on top of the town hall or the tower near Piazza Arbusto. The town hall spot is great, but sometimes the Snitches back here by the hospital or behind the hospital can be kind of hard to see. That's why I prefer the Piazza Arbusto. This place has the downside that the Snitch being around Grandioso apartments might be a little bit too far away. So you might want to set up a zipline train from the town hall to the Arbusto Tower just to switch between those two places. As an alternative, you can, as I said, do this on Blue Gate on the Locked Gate event. Here I would position myself either on the reinforced reception or on top of the maintenance bunker building. From those two positions, you should see the majority of the snitch spawns. If you're doing this in a trios, it's even easier because you can split up and cover every single snitch spawn there is. Number 4 is search lockers. This trial returns this week, and just like kitchen cabinets, RNG plays a pretty big role. I would recommend doing this on Dam at night because most of the players tend to use their keys in night raids because of the increased loot. If night is currently not available, I would recommend doing this during Electromagnetic Storm because of the same reason. For the absolute highest scores, you'll eventually want the testing annex key, the dam control tower key, the staff room key, and a power rod. You can also get additional points from the controlled access zone. I would suggest you do this towards the end of the raid and hope that other players opened up the puzzle room in the area. The maximum score is currently around 13,000 points. And just like last time, every confirmed locker location is already mapped in the Discord. And if you want to see a full run of this trial, I've done a run before and you can find it up here. Trial number 5 is damage arc using a single deadline. This is probably the lowest priority trial this week, not because it's difficult, but because the point payout is relatively low for the amount of time invested. The fastest and easiest strategy is placing a deadline on top of a matriarch core or a queen core, giving you roughly 4,200 points. If you're looking for a higher score though, you can trap shredders on Stellar Montes, the same we did it in previous trials, and place the deadline in front of the door. It is a lot harder and it takes a lot more time, but it may end up producing an even higher score. So to summarize everything, prioritize the swamp container trial first, farm your Rascal damage on high health enemies, use a renegade or seeker grenades to set up your stitcher kills for the snitches, expect some RNG while farming your lockers, and finish the deadline trial whenever you have time. If you are pushing for Hotshot or Cantina Legend, your biggest advantage isn't your aim necessarily, it's understanding how these trials actually work and where to invest your time in. As always, all maps are available in the Discord. I'll also be completing the remaining full runs live on twitch.tv/VannyP throughout the rest of the week. If this guide helped you, leave a like, subscribe, and good luck climbing the trials leaderboard. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.